Hi, it's Vanessa from Perth, Western Australia, and I'm filming for Carolyn's Musings. This is what we're making today. It's a folder, fabric covered, and it's a storage folder to hold templates. So Carolyn has offered us through Etsy on her shop to buy a set of templates that we can either print directly as a digital onto our own papers, or what we might want to do is cut them out on some cardstock and then have them so that we can cut out on spare scraps of paper, whatever we might want to do. So I don't want to show you too much because we're going into the process. This is future me showing you this. This is the finished product, but we're going to go through the process of how I made this. So these are the templates. Now they're printed in bright coloured card just so I can look at the 3 different kits and remember which one goes to which kit if I'm looking for them digitally. So as I said before, obviously we can run these through black and white through any pattern paper, but what I wanted to do was also print them out on just excess card that I had. I had a lot of these colours and that the cardstock could make a template that if I had scrap pieces of paper I could draw around them and have them ready to go. So just to let you know, in set 1 there's this envelope with a slot and tab for a closure. There's the envelope, then this is a heart insert, and then a CD disc cover, and also this is a paper sleeve pad tag, so we'll show how to put that one together as well. And then in set 2 there is the folio, so it's got the tab on the bottom, the tab here in the middle, and then the tab here on the left, on the top. And then we have slotted pockets. And then I know we didn't have to print this, but this is just a reminder for me that when I cut out one of them that I have this on the computer ready to go when I'm trying to look for it. And then set 3, there are pockets here that fold over and have a gusset. And then an assortment of tags, shapes. And then these are assorted labels. And these last 2, obviously the same thing, didn't need to print them out, but it's just a reminder for me that I do have them on the computer and where to find them. So there's 2 different types of postcards. Can't wait to use these and print them out. And then another tag shape here on the bottom. And then here, this is like a folio with a journal card that you can pop inside. Okay, so they're those. I'm going to go cut them out. Now I just thought I'd show you some covers, fabric covers that I made over a year ago. This one is for all my Faith ephemera. So it's got the fabric, the corners, book corners, and then I've done eyelets here with an elastic closure. And this is, so that's that one. This one was for all my Oriental ephemera. That one has got 2 signatures in with eyelets, and I've just done a bit of a tie for that one. So it's got different papers and then vellum to hold in the pockets. And then I made 2 vintage ones. So I loved this butterfly fabric. So that's just got the elastic tie as well with papers that can be removable because they're put in with elastic. So that's that one. And then this one, I love these vintage birds on here as well, so that just holds a bunch of my ephemera as well. Okay, so to make a fabric cover, I chose this bright material because my templates, I use them in these bright yellows, blues and greens. So what we want to do is cut out a piece of fabric that will fit. So to make that the same size as the ones that I already have, it is 6.5 by 8.5 inches, and I've used some chipboard, but you can use any scrap cardboard, thicker cardboard, to make your covers. So you need 2 of those, and I've just put double-sided tape on those. And then the ones that I've already made had a 2-inch spine. I think with this one I don't need that as wide, so I'm doing 1.5 inches wide and taped those as well. So once you just measure up and make sure you've got enough of a border around the outside. So I'm just going to flip this over. Do I want top, bottom? Maybe I want that at the top. Okay. And then we want to place this as central as we can. It's going to be face down. And we want to leave a slight gap so there's a bit of a bend. It's very, very minimal gap just to ensure we've got that. So that sort of looks pretty even around the edges for me. And so I do have nails, so I generally can peel off the double-sided tape. This is very super double-sided sticky. My local Red Dot store, which is sort of like a dollar store except it's not a dollar, they ran out of the one that I normally get, so I had to go to the hardware store, and this one was quite expensive, so we won't be using a lot of this, but it's super sticky. I bought this tool. It's like a weeding tool, so when I use my Cricut machine, and that does help to get it up. So it's sort of a bit of hit and miss for me when it comes to tape. So I tend to use my fingernails. Okay, so now that we've got one off, it's as easy as just placing that down onto the fabric, as flat as we can. Now we'll do the spine. And then we'll cook this final piece. Okay, now what I did forget to mention, I apologise, chipboard doesn't go through. Obviously I have a paper trimmer, but even my guillotine, it's too thick for that. So the best way to cut it down is with a steel ruler, metal ruler, and a Stanley knife, and that's how you can cut it out on your cutting board. But as I said, you can use scrap paper as well. So what we want to do is then fold in our edges. Now you can either miter them, which is cutting off here, and it reduces the bulk, but I did one the other day and I thought it was okay to keep it, and it just keeps that corner quite neat for me. So what I'm going to do is, I can use glue, my Boyle's Craft glue. I know you guys have got Fabri-Tac, so that would help with you, but this is a multi-purpose glue that I can pop those corners down and that will hold. Okay. So I'll just do that on all 4 corners. Now I'm going to use some double-sided tape. I'm going to use this strong adhesive, and I'll cut it in half widthwise, but you can use normal double-sided tape. Now the reason I had to do those on the corners was because I didn't run the tape long enough, my mistake, and it doesn't matter if you do get excess tape that's on here, because we're going to be covering this with a digital or scrapbooking paper, and sorry, some of that is a bit crinkled. But that's okay, it's going to be covered up by a digital, as I said. Okay, so what we want to do is I'd like to have 2 signatures, so I will need to grab my pencil, which I think might be in the other room. It is. So let me go get that and we'll measure and I'll come back. When I went to get my pencil and pen, I realised that I hadn't put down a cover on my spine. You can do this afterwards. It would just mean that your fabric would sort of sit up here and it's not really finished, so it's better to sit on underneath. So you'll need to get a strip of fabric that is 3 inches wide and then probably about 8 inches in length, just so it can tuck in a little bit shorter than here, but it can tuck in underneath. The reason why I use that really strong double-sided tape is it works for me, it's better than glue. I don't want to mess with any seepage coming through. So I've laid that down, and then you'll want to get your scoring tool and just go in and score the fabric in there, just to make sure that it's really sitting in that gap in between the spine and the side pieces. Okay, so what I also did off camera was selected, it's very bright, I know, it's not normally what I would go for, but I wanted to use up a whole bunch of scrapbooking papers that I had, and this was one of the papers in there. I thought, oh look, it'll go okay. So I've just put double-sided tape. This one I've already ripped off. These are measuring 8 by 6, so it's going to be a quarter of an inch on either side of your panel. Okay, sorry, I'm just trying to make that concentrate, make that sit down flat. And this is why you want this fabric piece to be 3 inches wide, to make sure that it covers over the gap on the side. Okay, so we can just burnish that down. And then we'll take off the tape off this one. Definitely like this strong tape around the edges, in the hopes that it won't lift up, and then I just put regular double-sided tape in the middle. Oops, normally my nails are pretty good in lifting it up. There we go. It's not really directional, that'll be okay. I just want to center that. Okay, pop that down. This is very bright, but you know what? It's summer in Australia at the moment, so it's perfect. Okay. Now normally I love to ink around the edges of everything. I don't think I'm going to do this. It's not really a vintage vibe, so we're just going to leave it the way it is. And what I can do is, I've got the book corners, I can put those on now too. Normally I would like this section to be a little bit bigger, and then it will sit in under here. However, I was using a 12 by 12 and I wanted to get the 2 pieces out of the 12 by 12, and that was just the best way that I could size it. Okay, we'll just clamp those down. I'll just speed through this bit. Okay, so what I did was because I'm having 2 signatures, I actually put my eyelets here to see whereabouts I'd want them, and then I just poked it with a pen just to put it in there, a little dot. Now these are approximately 1.2 centimeters in from the spine, the sides of the spine here. So I've done that top and bottom, and then I've just stuck a dot right bang in the middle as well. So that's going to be our elastic closure. So what we need to do is get our awl and then poke through. Now I have where's mine? All I have is a punch like this, which is great for paper, not so great for something like this. I haven't done it for quite a while, so I'm going to attempt it again. From memory, it didn't really work that well. If you have a crocodile, I don't have one of those. If you have one of those, they will work great for this, and they apparently will go through the fabric. So what I did with the other ones was just try my best to get the hole through. Obviously, I'm not going to be able to clamp shut my eyelet in the center here using this. I can't remember how I struggled to do it last time, but I just think I used scissors to try and make the biggest hole I could and then hammered it on the other side. Anyway, so that's what we want to do, is create a hole, and I'm pretty sure I went right through. Just be very careful, please. I went through just kept going in and out to get as far down the awl as I can so I can get a bigger hole. Please be careful. Right, I'm going to speed this through so you don't have to hear the noise. If you have a crocodile, I'll spell that, I'll put it up on the screen on what that is if you haven't seen one before. It's a very thick punch that has different measurements. This is when you would pop your hole and then you would put your eyelet in and clamp it down, which is what I do with paper, with fabric. I'm not going to struggle with that. I've decided, and it's also not great for the video for me to do that, struggle it. So I'm just going to do it, and it's perfectly okay to just put the elastic straight through. So on the other folders that I did, I used black. It was suited those ones a little bit better, and it was more of a tubular shape elastic, which I liked. But for this one, I only had this type of white one, and I do prefer the tubular elastic. This one's a flat, but it's okay. Just use what you have. I might do the inside loop first. Closure. So we want that to go through this center hole. I struggle because I don't have the biggest hole. We'll use the awl to help us. Okay, now that that's through, we've got the ends there, and we want to move that around there to see how much we need. We don't want it to be too tight that it will make it warp, but we don't want it too loose either so that it won't close. All right, so I've stretched that as much as I think that works. So without moving the elastic, whoops, and I made it flip through. All right, we're gonna try that again. I'll come back and I'll measure how much we need, and I'll do that again. What I did off camera, please forgive me for that, I wanted to check to make sure that this would work, and I wanted to know how much elastic I needed. It was about 50 centimeters. You definitely need the length of this twice and then some extra to be able to tie. So with the elastic, one piece, you go in from the inside to the outside, back through this hole, in through here, down, it's a bit twisted, that's okay, down into this hole, to the outside, back into this hole, and then into here. Okay, so I've done that, and we just need to tie. And we can change the tension of that. I'm not going to chop off the ends because we can change the tension later on. So let me attempt to put this through again. Definitely a pair of tweezers was my friend to get it through. Let's see if we can pop this in again. Oh, came through really easily that time. Okay, so what I might do, just even these bits. Hold that. So I think it's going to be about that much. I'm just going to tie just a loose one so it doesn't flop out like it did before. Just loosely. Put this over. Yeah, that actually works. Could be a little bit tighter, but once it's got things in it, that actually is okay. All right, so that's your closure through there. So look, it's actually okay. I don't have eyelets. It is my preferred way of doing it, but that will hold with this elastic. Okay, so that's your closure. We might want to just tie that off a little bit more. And I'm just going to leave that loose. I know it's messy at the moment, but I'm just going to leave it at the moment so I can finally check. So this section here is, so that would be 30 centimeters, and then here 30, so 40, 50 centimeters again, maybe a little bit less, just to make sure that you've got enough for that. Okay, so that's that section done. I've gone ahead and chosen some papers that were in my scrapbooking stash, and I had originally cut them 8 till 6, which is 6 inches. So it's basically a 12 by 12, and when you fold them in half, that will give you 6 inches here, and then cut them 8 inches this way. So then we end up with some strips like this. I do like to use vellum for my pockets, but we're not going to waste the paper, so I'll probably use these as my pockets. And the only thing is, I want to check that 8 is really where it's sitting, where the holes are. So I'm going to have to cut this down again, otherwise this is going to start tearing the edge of my paper. So I probably want to bring that down to, let me just check. So if I do that there, 19.5 centimeters. 7.5 might be, let me see if that's 7.5 inches. That will come there and there. Actually 7.5 inches is okay. All right, they're cut down to 7.5 that way, and obviously it's 6 this way, a 12 inch sheet folded in half. So we're just going to pop that here in the elastic. As I said, I will cut off this excess once I've decided if I think this is tight enough. And then that's our excess from our closure, which I can cut that off later too. So that's just going to go in here. All right, that's as simple as that is, our pages. And so to make our pockets to hold our templates, we have these offcuts. And so they are just under 4 inches tall. So that's the strips that we had left over from the 12 by 12 sheets. And so I've cut those strips down to 5.5 inches across. You don't have to if you don't want to, but you can cut with a notch in here with a punch. So this is my 2-inch hole punch, and so I've just gone in and snipped the top of them to make it look like a pocket shape. You certainly don't have to do that, that's not it at all. I'm not going to decorate this. This is a purely functional folder to hold the template, so they're just going to be very plain, and I just need to glue them in. So I'm going to do that. There's nothing, it's very functional, it's just going to be across the bottom, nothing fancy, and I will speed this up. Okay, now that wasn't enough pockets to get that finished. I'm too short on the first signature, and then I need some for these ones as well. So I'm going to go find some more paper and finish those off. I won't film it, you don't need to see that. And then I'll come back to you so we can fill the pockets with our templates. I finished the pockets, and then I've put all the templates in the pockets as well. So just quickly flipping through, that's set 1, then set 2, set 3, and then these are the freebies. So I found Carolyn had some freebies with her Ko-fi coffee website, so we can put some links in those in the description. So they've been put in the pockets, and then what I've done is I've made my own labels. Now this is very bright, I do understand it's a lot brighter than what I'm used to, but I wanted to use up the material, the papers and things that I wouldn't normally use in a journal, and I wanted to use them for this. So I've just done this as my front label, and then it might be a little bit overkill, but I've done labels for each of these so I know exactly where I'm referring and when I'm looking for them. So if you have any templates that you have done yourself, if you're creative that way, or if you've picked up any templates anywhere else, then you can add them in here as well and maybe label them differently so you know where to find them. So I'm just going to quickly glue this. I just wanted to mention that I did make some vellum envelopes, and obviously these aren't something that I would cut a template. I would probably print them as a digital, but it is a good reminder where they are and that they're part of these kits, and that I can print them digitally. I mean, obviously these ones as labels, yes, definitely you can cut around them and use them in your projects. So there's just use that as a little flap to close that. And then these little tickets, obviously I wouldn't use them in this bright green, but it is good just if I want to check sizing and things, if it will fit a project, so before I go to print them. So thought I'd mention that. Okay, so let's do a couple of quick templates from these 3 different kits. Now the heart one is it's actually the front page in kit number 1. So what I'm doing is it's just been released, the Scripture Garden kit, absolutely stunning, and it matches the Facebook freebies. You can also find them on the Ko-fi website. The ephemera fold, which is this one here, the scripture, and so the pages just match beautifully with this, and so we can use the ephemera from this freebie into this kit. So I am going to be using these papers. So I chose, this is going to be another video with all the papers that are in it, but this is the one that I chose for the heart template. And it's as easy as either printing them on the computer or using the physical, there's 2 there, the physical template. And so what I did was, out of this sheet of paper, was folded them together like this. We'll just nick this little bit off, and that made the perfect heart as a background. And then on the rest of the paper I then drew around so that I could get my 2 flaps. So this would sit like this, and let me show it to you on a project page. So if we have our journal page, and say this is the center of a signature, or you could actually do it on one side as well, is that we have this laying down with the heart, and then we glue here and here and stick like that, and then it will sit down. If you print on the back, you will flip it up and have writing space there and writing space there. So that's beautiful in the center of you actually don't even have to have the bottom half, you could just do that in the center of your signature as well. Another idea is your folded journal page like this. Sorry, I haven't cut off the white yet, but you could have this glued on one side like that to be your flap. Actually, you'll do it that way. So there you go for a writing bit, and on the other side you could have the heart. and have that. So you could split it over the 2 pages. If you wanted to, you could do it like that. Anyway, so that's lovely, that heart. And what I'll do is ink, do I have one out? This is a lilac shadow ink. And so I'll just do that so it's ready to go when I stick it into the journal, which I will do a tutorial for the Scripture Garden, and this will be a lovely feature to go in there. So that's that one. Now the next lot of papers are these, and so I liked these 2 pages together from the Scripture Garden, and so I thought we could do a layered tag. Now this is using the sleeve tag template, which is it in this one? This one, it's in kit 1 as well. I will go through some of the others in the other kits. And so you have these pieces. So this is your main tag, this is your sleeve, and then you have a journal card and a tag. Okay, so I'm going to show you why it is actually a good idea. Sometimes you can get away with it with a non-directional paper. That's not a problem, but then when you do have a directional paper, it might cause an issue the way it printed out. So that's why it's great that we have now got a physical tag that we can cut around. So I'll show you. If we did this the way it prints out digitally with all of the tags, some of them will be upside down or on the side. So I've gone ahead and I've cut down the tags. So as you can see now in printed form, you have the sleeve, and I'm going to punch 2 holes in here to close this, and then a journal card and a tag, and they can hold together with a paper clip. So that's one idea. Okay, and then the other idea is if you cut 2 tags this size, we've got another one here, and I have folded the edge, which is just over one inch is my score mark, and I want that to sit down there so that I have a pocket. Then I want to have my sleeve that holds this together here, and then I will have a larger, now I've actually enlarged, so instead of using the shorter journal card, I actually just cut it longer. We don't really need a template for that, we can just do that ourselves, but then that will go in there as a journal. So this will open up, flip down, we've got that, and then on the back, if I glue the sides down, we're going to have a tuck spot for a tag there. Okay, so I'm just going to ink these, speed it up, and then show you some more. Right, now that they're all inked, this is very easy to put this together. So it can detach, but it's probably a nice idea to have that glued in spot. So we're just going to run a little bit of glue at the back here. And so the large tag is going to sit neatly in there. Okay, and then we just want to punch a hole on either side. I'm just going to eyeball that. Might actually find it easier to do this punching before you glue it down. And if you don't have any eyelets, but you might have these little reinforcers. So these are clear, but you can get them in white and then just ink them so that they sort of have a vintagey feel. I've just got the clear ones. And it's up to you if you want to put some more on the back as well. Okay. One there. Okay. And then we're able to put this in here. Now I'm not going to decorate the tags or anything, but I will be embellishing them. You could put a bit of lace on there, you could put a label, an inspired word, you could put scripture, whatever you like on them to decorate them, but I'm going to do that when I actually do the scripture garden journal, so I will embellish that some more. But you've also now got a spot where you could pop something in the back there as well. Okay, so I'll do that, and then if you've just got a little bit of ribbon, you can tie that together, and this is what creates your sleeve. Right, there we go. Might use some other ribbon. So let's do this one. This is where I've cut the large tag twice and then folded it. It's just over an inch there. That is going to glue down here. And what you need to do, I might ink this so you can see it. We want to have it so where this is attached, it's just above that line so that we can still flap that up and down. Now I did notice when I was inking that this still had a bit of white from the back. The print didn't go all the way. So everything's always a bit of an easy fix. Just tear up some book page. This is some scripture, music notes, whatever. We can fix it. All right, so I'm just going to run a little bit of glue along here. Line that up. Unfortunately, I bumped the camera and it flipped it to the reverse. So anyway, what I had done is I just glued that down, and then I turned over this on the same as the other one and glued it down the bottom along the sides to make that there, and that's created us a pocket here. And then we can embellish that later. And then what I did was just folded these back the front, marked them where I got them both even, the eyelets, as much as I could. I stuck my eyelets in. This flips back up here. Put in our ribbon. Tying ribbon. Okay, so they're the two. This one holds together with just a little cute paper clip as well. All right, so let me come back with another one of the ideas, and I'll do it from one of the other kits as well. The next template is from set 2, which is the slotted pocket. So you can print directly onto your paper, which is what I've done with this one. And then it will have these sections here. This is if you just want to draw around the outside. I've already cut it, and then you can just draw in the middle and then cut them out. So I'll just show you the slotted pocket. There we go. So you'll need to score down, let me see, score. So score down these sides and then fold it in. Have I done that on this one? A little bit. Yep, so that means that you will have a gusset on the side and on the bottom. Okay, and then what you do is you get your ruler, and you'll need a metal ruler to use a Stanley knife, cutting knife, and then run along the edges and cut. Here I normally do all the bottoms, turn it around and then cut the other way. And then finally you cut the edges, and that will release those little bits to make a slotted pocket. And so this is what I've chosen on this bright paper. So on a journal page, that will sit like that. And perfect timing. Carolyn today has released some gorgeous new freebies. And so there are 8 on the page. 4 of them are, this might be King James, I think, and the other 4 are the NIV. And so these work really, really well in these pockets. But you can have any of your little journaling cards. You can try and measure them to see if they'll fit and work to slot in there. So you can change up your paper underneath, whatever you decide. Put that there, glue your 3 sides down, and then you have those journal cards all going in a slotted pocket. Okay, so that's that one. And then one more I was going to show you is from set 3, which are the postcards. Now the postcards, obviously because of this beautiful vintage writing here, it isn't something that you would cut out, but it reminds me that I do have it as a template to print out in sepia. And so I printed onto a mottled card, so these come out like this on your page. So printed them, cut them out, inked around the edges. So this will be the writing spot on the front, and then we can embellish that with some stamps, etc. And then on the back, you could just print it all out in a sheet and have the same backing sheet. So one of the bright floral fabrics could go on the back. Any paper that you have, scrapbooking paper, anything. These are fantastic. I love the vintage vibe. It is my go-to. And so I chose these 2, and I just basically glued them on the back and then inked around the edges. So I love the postcards. They are a bonus as a template, love it. And then the tag has this vintage feel about it. So this was printed on the same sheet, so it's got that sort of mottled look on it. And then you can glue something on the back. So I just had some spare of this, so that's what I've done with that one. However, if you would prefer, you can embellish the front here, and you can tear papers and put lace and all sorts of things to have this vintage feel on the front. And then on the back, if you print something plain on the back, like a mottled cream tea dye, that can be your writing spot on the back instead. So at a later stage, we can embellish these when I put them into the journal. Okay, so they're the 4 templates that we've just had a quick look at. So I'll just pop them here so you can have a look. They're from all the kits. So that was great to do that. And then, yes, I know this folder is very, very bright. But as I say, we need to start using things that are in our stash, and so that's what I've done with this. This is a bit of a fun one to put on my shelf. So I hope you've enjoyed that tutorial, and I'll see you in the next one. Have a very blessed day. Bye.